You're listening to The Opening Note, where local bands talk about how they make their music and what it's like to be a musician at UVM. My name is Katie Monacella. Tall Travis and the Beanie Babies is a folk band comprised of several UVM students. They got their start playing music in the Harris Mills Dining Hall, commonly known as the Grundle. Now, they've released their first album, Travis Is Out There, and continue to be a quintessential representation of UVM's folk scene. I sat down with the band to talk about how they formed and the music scene at UVM, and specifically, their song, Hillbilly Guitarist.
Hi, I'm Finn, and we're Tall Travis and the Beanie Babies. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a junior, and I play ukulele and mandolin and keyboard.
Hi, I'm Justin, also a junior. I use he, him pronouns. I play the trumpet and sometimes guitar.
Hi, I'm Pax. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a junior, and I play washboard and I sing.
I'm Harrison. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a senior. I play the banjo and sing occasionally.
Hi, I'm Elliot. I'm a sophomore, would be at UVM, but I transferred to Cornell this year, and I use he, him pronouns, and I play the guitar.
Hi, I'm Casey. I use he, they pronouns. I play the fiddle, and occasionally I sing, and I don't go to UVM.
Yeah, and we also have a new band member, LC, who plays bass, who is just joining us, so we get a little more low end.
They're a sophomore, I think.
Yeah.
And use they, them pronouns.
The idea for the band was born sort of February 2020. I was skiing and I was thinking, like, I know enough musicians now that I could start a folk punk band.
It was 2021, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, you're right. It was February
2021.
2021. Yeah, we haven't been around that long. We all met in folk music club, the UVM folk music club. So I guess we were a part of the UVM folk music scene from the beginning. I think it started when I asked Elliot if he would be interested in joining a band, and when he said, and I said it as if I had a whole band put together already, and I was inviting him to it, and so he was on board. And then we got Harrison, and then we got Pax, and then
I was a bit later. Yeah, I had joined folk music club to play guitar because I'm a trumpet major here, and I don't play much guitar, even though I kind of wanted to, so I joined. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, we got this song, Vampires Are Posers, and we want some trumpet on it." And that was how I ended up. That basically, I just after that it just kind of spiraled into me being part of the band.
Yeah, but after we played it in the amphitheater that fateful Friday night, somebody shouted out of a window of one of the nearby dorm buildings, "More trumpet!" And that was how we knew that we needed to get Justin in the band.
That needed more trumpet.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that has to start with the Grundle,
That's right.
which
Yeah. The Grundle is our true
where
beginnings.
it all began.
Yeah, we had
rehearsed twice or something, and then
yeah.
it was a Friday after folk music club, and traditionally after folk music club one gets dinner in the Grundle, and I was like, what if we played, we have our instruments? And so we played, and that was kind of that.
Playing a few songs in the Grundle every Friday night became a thing for us. Somebody took a 10-second video and put it on TikTok, and that got 60,000 views or something insane.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
But no one knew it was us. Eventually we wanted to keep playing after a reasonable amount of songs to play in the Grundle. So we moved out to the amphitheater. And
yeah, once it got warmer, it was honestly way more fun because people were coming out. It was a Friday evening; they were all just chilling there, and then
we got people dancing.
People were dancing.
It was still we were still deep in pandemic time, so everyone was starved for live music. So they were maybe a little more able to forgive us of some of our imperfections.
Yeah, it was a great environment. I mean, obviously COVID was terrible, but it was a good environment for us to have our beginnings.
Yeah.
There was definitely a drought in UVM music. I mean, obviously we were all at home at the end of spring semester of my freshman year, and then that fall semester, the COVID restrictions were really tight. So that was a sad few months for me musically. Folk Music Club was really small too.
There were kind of glimmers of light in the darkness. That fall, I saw the predecessor of Lazy Bird because I was in the same dorm as them, and they would play in the hallways sometimes. And then by the springtime, they had started doing a couple performances in like the common rooms, and they would always get kicked out. But that was like super fun. That spring, in a lot of ways, things were like felt like they were opening up a little bit, whether it was people learning how to live with the restrictions or the restrictions getting looser. I think Lazy Bird and us kind of grew out of that.
Yeah, I think all UVM music people really were itching for something to happen and sort of plotting our own things. And obviously the UVM student band scene is really exploding now. And yeah, I think it's because of the pandemic lessening enough that we are more able to do that sort of stuff. So we're going all in.
And I think to kind of wax philosophical about it, the pandemic and kind of the way it went for the country as a whole eroded a lot of people's trust in institutions. And so there's sort of this sense of like, if you want something to happen, you just have to do it yourself. And one of the positive outcomes of that is I feel like people are more willing to take artistic risks and more willing to like put themselves out there and kind of make music happening where none is.
I think all the student bands kind of know each other, and we like run into Lazy Bird all the time. And yeah, when I was choosing what college to go to at every college, I'd ask about the student band scene, because that like I considered going to college for music and then decided against it because the kind of music that I would want to do was not the kind that you can learn in school. And so that was a really important thing to me. And so I partially picked UVM because I had heard it had a good student music scene. Honestly, it feels like now all of a sudden the UVM music scene is living up to its expectations. It's cool that I think like jam bands definitely, but probably folk bands too, have more opportunities to get popular here as opposed to other places.
Hillbilly Guitarist is the third song on the band's album, and their second most popular song on Spotify. With beautiful instrumentation and gripping lyrics, I asked the band to break down the creation of the song.
I wrote it in one fell swoop late at night one night after signing off of a 4-hour phone conversation with an old friend. All my best songwriting happens late at night, but I think one of the biggest themes of the song is about like missing an old friend or seeing that old friend again. And so yeah, I was sitting in my room and I had this instrument, my baritone ukulele, and the first thing I came up with was like this sort of riff. And it's just two fingers on the two lowest strings. And I just started singing over that, kind of improving, and that's how I got the intro section. I just had all of these images floating around in my head, and so it was sort of stream of consciousness. I just started putting them down. So how does it start? The seeds, yeah, so it was spring, so that's how it starts. The seeds, they now are stirring, and the summer's gentle whirring sound is floating up from Boston as the world's spinning around. And then the old friend, was in Maine, so you're to the east of me, so you can see the sun before me. And then, Pax, you want to talk about the water tower line?
You tell them what the water tower line is.
Well, yeah, sun before it rises over the friendly water tower that my friends saw as a god when they were high.
So I'm the friend. The long and short of it is I had come home from UVM game night, gotten high off of someone else's weed, and then the group I was smoking with dispersed, and I was like, well, what the fuck do I do now? So I went to that little garden behind Jeffords, which is really nice, and just sort of, I don't know, I played music and danced, I think. And at one point I was like, the water tower looks like a benevolent god.
So I thought that was a really nice image, so I stuck it in there. And I was also writing the song with the band in mind, so I always look over at Pax when I sing that lyric live.
The god with glowing red eyes every few seconds.
So you can see the sun before it rises over the friendly water tower that my friend saw as
Yeah. Moving right along. What happens in the next verse? Oh, the next verse is Old Tommy. Yeah, Old Tommy, I say he's 67 in the song, although I don't know how old the real Old Tommy is. It's my dad's old climber friend, and when me and my dad were on a climbing trip in New Hampshire, we stayed over at his house in New Hampshire and just like talked to this sort of like old New Hampshire-y climber guy. I mean, the gun lyric comes from him being kind of like a gun nut, but also he would tell all these stories of horrible things happening to him. Like, he was out on a climbing trip and he like took a bad fall and broke his leg and had to hobble back on it, and it was excruciatingly painful. And so he'd like tell these stories and then he'd like end each one with, and it was hilarious, and crack up. And I just thought that was a really interesting like place of being in your life, where you've lived through all this shit and you can just like laugh about it. And I guess another major theme of this song is this sort of convoluted way of processing your emotions that I feel like I sometimes do as well, where
Sometimes.
where I don't like feel them all out. I sort of like bury them under other things.
He makes graphs.
I
Graphs
did
of his feelings.
Literally, I did
in
not
his
know.
notebook during
Is that-
class when he's supposed to be paying attention.
Yeah, I was sort of painting Old Tommy as this sort of like semi-paranoid but also like a little admirable kind of a person. Okay, I'll move on to the chorus now. So the chorus, you know, I've got a piece of you inside me, and if you know where to find me, I'll say hi. How have you been? It's been a while. It's sort of like, it's like this simple thing, and it's that same thing of like, I'm really excited to see this person again, but I'm just like, hi. But like, the person knows what I mean. Like, they know it's important, even though I'm just sort of saying these basic things. So that's the essence of the song.
This has never occurred to me until now, but that was sort of when I saw all of the band except for Casey for the first time in 5 months or something at the festival after I transferred schools and everything. That was sort of how it was. Like, you sort of don't know where to start, so you almost just jump in as if nothing's happened, and then the heavy stuff kind of follows when the time is right.
Yeah, I was debating whether to say like the meaning of this song has a new life with Elliot being gone away at Cornell, but it definitely kind of does.
Oh.
You know I've got a piece of you inside me, and if you know where to find me, I'll say hi. How have you been? It's been a while.
Okay, yeah, second verse. There's that verse about things changing and noticing the moment when they change, and that was, I was writing it that night in my room, thinking about how like you can kind of see the sunset out the window of my dorm room last year, and so I'd always like try and make a mental note to like when the sun was setting, look out the window and see it, but I'd always like not be paying attention and I'd miss it. I don't know how that connects to the rest of the song. And then the last verse with the title in it, Hillbilly Guitarist, that comes from a YouTube video that I had watched that night that honestly wasn't that special in any particular way, but it was like this image that was in my head. I guess the sentiment of that verse is kind of important in that it's like there's lots of stuff out there that I want to do and see, I guess.
But I guess that kind of leaves us with a handful of characters in the song. I mean, obviously the narrator and the you, but then there's Tommy, who's like kind of a little bit out there, but also knows how to, has gotten as far as he has. And then I feel like for me, the tattoos upon her hands line is kind of relevant beyond just the image of like this YouTube video, because like I feel like that signifies like you can't hide your hands, you know, whatever you're doing for work, whenever you're interacting with people and stuff, that's going to be visible. So you're kind of just putting yourself out there and to a degree not caring or just like ignoring whatever other people think of it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so that was the third song that we tried to record, I think. It was like May, and we were all going to be not together for the summer, and so we were like sort of frantically trying to get essential parts recorded so that I could then like go home and touch everything up. So I think we rehearse in a room in L&L, and we were all just there like with the microphones and stuff doing takes. We got Harrison's banjo and vocals and Pax's vocals, and I think Elliot's guitar.
Oh yeah, and then I believe I played bass on that song, which I'm mildly proud of because I don't play bass at all, and I think I sent like 4 tracks back and forth, and Finn kept being like, I don't really like this, or this is too abrupt, or this or that.
That whole summer, lots of bouncing around.
It was aggravating at the time, but I think it's a part that meshes well with the song, and I'm happy with it.
Yay, Elliot.
Yeah, so the bass is important, and I was going to talk about the percussion because it's kind of a cool percussion sound that I have on there in lieu of the washboard. My grandpa built me a cajon, which is like a wooden box essentially that you bang on. And it's a unique cajon because for one thing it has a pickup so you can plug it in, and for another thing it has a lever that you can turn the snare sound on and off. So when the snare sound is on, it has a like dirty and when it's off it's just like a sort of bongo-y dunk.
Did Grandpa Jerry fix that lever?
Yeah, he fixed it.
Oh.
And so that's what prompted me to do the percussion I did, because when you flip the lever and engage the snare, the like sort of snarey stuff hits the like sounding board of the washboard makes a very cool sound, and that's actually the snare sound that's on the recording. It's that like turn of the lever. Harrison's banjo on it is iconic too. Do you have anything to say about the banjo?
Yeah, since it was a song on the slower end, I was able to like do a lot more with the picking, and there's this lick that sort of I do that ends every verse and every chorus that I play a lot with my brother back home who plays guitar, and there's this Bon Iver song we like to cover called 29 Stratford Apartments, and I sort of do the same lick that I do when I play that song.
Oh yeah, we sing 3-part harmony on it. And I think everybody wrote their own harmonies, right? It wasn't like Robin Snow where I pre-wrote everything.
I feel like me and you sort of collaborated to figure out.
I think
really we
got in a room and we sung stuff back and forth until it fell into a good.
The Tall Travis harmony determination method.
Yeah, me and Pax and Harrison are the like harmony brigade.
You know I've got a piece of you inside me, and if you know where to find me, I'll say hi. How have you been? It's been a while.
None of us are like fancy singers, but whenever we do something that's like technically bad musically, we just say it's folk punk. And move on.
That's all.
Yeah.
Voice crack, folk punk.
Yeah.
Half of our songs we recorded in L&L in spring 2021 when we had to wear masks. So if you listen to Raw Milk is Medicine, you could tell that like Finn is muffled through a mask.
That mask noise. Yeah, pretty much the whole thing was recorded on an SM58 vocal mic, which is a really good mic, indestructible, but it's a vocal mic and it really shouldn't be used for, recording like a washboard or a banjo, but that's what we did.
We made it sound pretty.
Yeah,
it's a job done.
Yeah,
except for the washboard,
totally.
It wasn't on the song in the end, but
I think I actually asked the UVM professor of like music production what kind of microphone I should get if I have no microphone, and he was like, get an SM58.
After releasing an album and playing at multiple music festivals, the journey has only just begun for Tall Travis and the Beanie Babies. I asked them what their future plans were, and if there's anything they wanted listeners to know.
Listen to our album. It's called Travis Is Out There. We're under Tall Travis on Spotify.
For copyright reasons.
reasons.
Oh yeah, I have a solo album, Phineas Potter. It's also on Spotify.
I will be coming out with a solo EP sometime next year under Harrison Hurwitz. It'll be called Firefly.
Casey and I are going to have a solo EP sometime this coming 6 months-ish, and also potentially a Tall Travis music video in which we burn a piano.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
And now, here's Hillbilly Guitarist by Tall Travis and the Beanie Babies.
Give me back my light when you told me that you thought that it was time for us to finally say goodnight. Well, the seeds they now are stirring, and the summer's gentle whirring sound is floating up from Boston as the world's spinning around you to the east of me, so you can see the sun before it rises over the friendly water tower that my friends saw as a god when they were high, high. There's a simple combination of words that you could say to let me sleep the night as easy as old Tommy wakes on a new day. And he can do that 'cause he's got a gun under his bed and 67 years of hardship he can laugh about instead of cry. Of you inside me, and if you know where to find me, I'll say hi. How have you been? It's been a while. You know things are always changing, but I feel like there's a moment where on one side there's the darkness and on the other side there's light, and so I try to pay attention so that when that moment comes I'm watching, but I get distracted and I miss it every single time. Sometimes I feel as though this very second is the only one I need, but then I think about the things I haven't seen. I know there's a hillbilly guitarist with tattoos upon her hands, and I know if only I could beat her, then we'd have a fucking killer jam.